Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about a certain very hypocritical streamer and online personality who goes by the name Zombie Unicorn. This pro-social justice warrior feminist wannabe recently sparked yet another controversy when she got triggered by pretty girls being used to sell products at E3. For those who don't know, E3 is the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which was previously the premier trade event for the gaming industry, and in a lot of ways it still is, but needless to say, E3 has certainly fallen from its former glory in recent years. Between the lackluster demonstrations and the growing amount of direct communication between gaming studios and companies towards their fans, well, with all that in mind, E3 has become almost obsolete in recent years, but nevertheless, it still stands and it still runs every summer in Los Angeles, carrying on as a remnant of its former, more glorious self. But we're not here to rant about E3 or any of its disappointing reveals and presentations today. No, today we're talking about Zombie Unicorn again because last week at E3, she decided to share some of her opinions that were not only very badly received, but also they made this chick look like a giant, huge, bitter hypocrite who no one in their right mind should be taking seriously anymore, if people even did take her seriously. But before we get to those comments though, which involve Zombie chastising younger, prettier girls for using their bodies to advertise energy drinks or something, but before we get too deep into that, let's do a quick recap and go over some more background about this Zombie Unicorn character. Zombie Unicorn, also known as Natalie Casanova, well, she first came onto our radar last spring, when she spearheaded one of the dumbest publicity stunts of all time called Bully Hunters. We covered this at the time in a previous video too. Link below to that if you want to get the full story on it, but basically, Bully Hunters was this stupid SJW influenced anti-bullying campaign hosted by the aforementioned Zombie Unicorn, and their basic premise was if you got bullied in a video game online, you could go ahead and call Bully Hunters and they would go after the bullies for you and take them out within the game or something. So just imagine how this would work. Imagine if someone calls you a frittata in a Call of Duty match, and well, according to the plan here, you could then call the Bully Hunters and they would join the same game somehow and beat this so-called bully within Call of Duty. So yeah, it's a pretty stupid idea that's virtually impossible to carry out too, since most games don't have direct ways to track and join battles with other players who you don't even know. And come to find out, this whole Bully Hunters thing turned out to be a big publicity stunt in the end, which was designed to actually advertise for the marketing company behind the whole project, or something like that. And this was just a taste of the dumb kind of progressive bullshit Zombie Unicorn was getting into. Her next embarrassing moment came later last year in the fall, when Natalie Casanova got some pushback on her now famous body painting stream, which took place on Twitch. You see, the Twitch platform has gotten stricter and stricter in some ways over the years, even starting to crack down on some of the more scandalous female streamers there, like Zombie Unicorn herself. As I said before, Zombie started out as a Twitch streamer, but it wasn't really her playing of video games or commentating that was drawing in the viewers. As with most popular girls on that website, Zombie was streaming with gross amounts of cleavage showing, using her boobs to gain viewers, money, and attention. So then, when she went on to stream herself virtually naked last September, some people finally started to speak up about her slutty ways, and about how it was hypocritical for Twitch to allow all this. Because for some reason, Twitch won't allow too much cleavage anymore, but they will allow you to paint yourself virtually naked because it's some kind of high art form or something, according to them. Please. And although Zombie likes to pretend she was doing it as some kind of performance art or some shit, well, we all know what was really going on here. Natalie Casanova here was live streaming her nude body painting in order to garner views and donations and attention from her male orbiter audience. Nothing seriously wrong with that either. I'm not against girls making a living any way they can online, and if guys want to throw money at hussies like this, that's their right to do it too. But what does make this all seem rather hypocritical now is the comment Zombie is making about other, more pretty girls at this year's E3. She basically attacks them and their sponsor for supposedly exploiting these women and their bodies. And sure, in some ways they are doing that, but Natty Casanova is hardly the person to be taking a stand on this here. She's been exploiting her body for her young and horny gamer audience by dressing slutty on camera for years. So when Zombie then decides to go after other prettier girls who are doing the same thing, well, it just seems wrong. And it seems like she's just jealous that she's not the one getting that money and attention here. And also, of course, Zombie Unicorn is rather far over the hill now. She's over 30 and her looks are certainly starting to fade. She's been gaining lots of weight and she was never really that attractive to begin with either. So it's pretty apparent that when she sees new, younger, much prettier girls joining her side of the industry, well, this makes Unicorn very jealous. And that's why she's lashing out and attacking them, because she's petty, and also she doesn't mind looking like a total hypocrite, if she even realizes that's what she looks like. So now, for more details on this zombie unicorn chick attacking hotter booth babes at E3, let's first turn to the original tweet which she sent out that sparked this controversy. The first thing she said was, why companies still out there sexually objectifying women as booth babes in 2019? What do booty shorts and bra tops have to do with energy drinks? E3, stop this cringy shit already. This is embarrassing. Well, first of all, using models to sell products is a practice that's as old as time. It's as old as capitalism and advertising. People just like seeing young, pretty faces on their ads, billboards, and TV commercials. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I certainly wouldn't call it sexually objectifying either, at least not in most cases. Sure, there are certainly some times where the sexuality in advertising goes a little too far, but that's hardly the case with these E3 booth babes. Most of the time, they're just girls with tank tops on, wearing spaghetti straps, short shorts, and maybe some cleavage too. But really, this is nothing worse than chicks you would see at, say, Hooters or another restaurant with hot waitresses. So yeah, really, the problem here is Miss Zombie Unicorn and her shaming the other booth babes because she's not as popular or attractive as them and she's getting jelly. She's jealous that she's not getting all the money and attention this year, so Zombie Unicorn decided to go on this faux outrage-filled pro-SJW Twitter rant. The wokeness here being how Natalie masks her commentary in a way to try and make it look like she's standing up for women's rights or something, when she's not. Really, she's shaming and attacking other prettier women who are trying to use their rights and assets to get attention and money, something that Zombie Unicorn herself has been doing for years. I guess this is a do as I say, not as I do situation. Next, let's look at the video attached to this very hypocritical and petty tweet, in which Zombie Unicorn herself shames the E3 girls on camera. Check this one out.
To companies at E3, it's 2019. Booth babes are nothing anymore. We don't do booth babes sexually objectifying women in ways that we don't need to be doing. So don't do it. Okay, cool, thanks.
Well, first of all, those babes weren't in a booth at all. In fact, they look like professional dancers on a stage in some sort of performance thing, from what I could see here. And yes, dancers do tend to wear less clothing and stuff that's more form-fitting and revealing sometimes. This makes perfect sense too, since that's part of their profession. You can't really dance well in a parka and jeans, lady. And just because you look at some girls and immediately think they're booth babes exploiting their sexuality, doesn't mean that's true, Zombie Unicorn. Sure, they are there because they're girls and they're hot, but more importantly, in this situation, they're also there because they can dance and perform. Can you dance, Zombie Unicorn? Because I highly doubt a woman with your amount of girth can pull these kinds of moves off. And how come it's always the ugly girls like this who complain about other hotter women getting sexually objectified, and the hot women aren't even complaining themselves? Well, I think it's because the uglier women are jealous, and they want the attention for themselves. And I also think Natty Casanova here is projecting. She's the one who is constantly exploiting her sexuality in much worse ways than these so-called booth babes. And she's also sounding like one of the most stereotypical and wannabe woke SJWs I've ever heard. First, there's this sexual objectification claim. Then she says that current year stuff. Booth babes don't belong in 2019, according to Zombie Unicorn. And most progressives would probably agree too, but this just sounds stereotypical as hell. And lastly, Miss Unicorn is doing another classic SJW move, where they like to make these little videos like this on their phones. And despite them trying to shame others in order to make themselves look better and more virtuous, well, actually, what ends up happening is these dopes, every time, they just make themselves look bad and terrible. And this whole situation is made even funnier considering the fact that these SJWs post these videos themselves, thinking this will actually make them look good, but really, it makes them look the opposite. Another similar example of this was that one SJW who filmed her Uber driver a few years back because she thought his Hawaiian hula dancer figurine on his dashboard was offensive or racist or something. That SJW ranted and raved about it and posted a video of her calling the guy out. But instead of people joining her SJW cause like she hoped, actually, most people ended up disagreeing and debunking the hula girl and her video, much like what's happening with Zombie Unicorn now. Next, we got a second video from Zombie Unicorn on this same topic following this first tweet. Check this bullshit video out.
I don't have a lot of time to respond, but I wanted to say the problem is not with the models accepting the gig. That's their choice. The problem is the company hiring women to purely be sexual objects and representing women as sexual objects in the gaming space. That's not okay.
That's not okay? Really? Wow. This natty chick couldn't get more stereotypical SJW if she tried. And also, for the record, women are sexual objects, lady. Not in a bad or negative way either. Really, we're all sexual objects in a way. We're all humans who naturally want sex. And we use sex to reproduce and survive as a species. And as for for the companies supposedly using these booth babes just and only for their sexual objectivity? Well, I would say that's an assertion and an assumption that's probably wrong and virtually unprovable. Seems to me like it's a big assumption coming from Zombie Unicorn in order to try and bolster her invalid claims here. Really, you need much more than just looks to be a good booth babe. But for starters, let's just for the record note that most women put a lot of effort into their looks to begin with. It's not easy. The girls have to shower, shave, groom, get haircuts, do their nails. Girls also diet and exercise and choose their clothes and accessories very carefully too. So make no mistake, being beautiful and showing up to E3 that way is no easy task in itself. But even so, even afterwards, looking good isn't the only requirement here. These chicks also need to have good work ethics and long-term endurance. They're going to be standing up all day at this conference, so they have to show up and be on top of their game all day long throughout the whole week of E3. And also, on top of that, these booth babes have to have polite and welcoming personalities too, in order to get along with people and get them to buy the products they're promoting. And then, like what we saw with those dancers earlier, these chicks often need a number of other skills to pull this off too. So with all that said, I would say no, it's not only their looks that are at play here, like what Zombie Unicorn directly says. And I'm willing to bet she's just butthurt here that she's not the one getting that kind of attention anymore. And also, she's realizing she's not as hot as or as talented as she thinks she is. At least not nearly as capable as the other girls at E3. No, in the end, Zombie Unicorn or Natalie Casanova, she's clearly gone over the hill here, and she's almost jumped the shark as far as SJW bullshit is concerned. In reality, Zombie is a 32-year-old washed-up Twitch streamer who's gotten so desperate for views, she's painting herself naked on camera to get attention, claiming that's some kind of high art or something. And then, a few months later, in a move showing her complete lack of self-awareness, Natty Casanova then shames other girls and attacks them for doing similar but much less scandalous things than she did for money. Because clearly Zombie Unicorn is trouble because she's washed up and on her way out in this business. And she's only 30-something, she's not really that old, but this chosen profession doesn't exactly have longevity for these kinds of girls. And also, Zombie Unicorn is just woke and SJW enough to use these social issues too, and to make her own current year claims, to try and spark interest into her failing career one last time before she eats herself into a coma or a heart attack. What do you guys think? Is Zombie Unicorn wrong to be shaming booth babes here? Do you think her painting herself naked is much worse than those booth babes dancing on stage with clothes on? And was this chick even really that hot to begin with? Because when I look at Zombie Unicorn, all I see is a short, frumpy, pink-haired troll who wears way too much makeup. Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.